Hey there, it's Tom Corson-Knowles, and welcome today to the Authentic Health Coaching Show. We have two incredible guests for you today. It's a really special show, and their names are Donna and Tora. Now, Donna was overweight, and Tora actually suffered from anorexia, and they're both now working together as weight control experts to teach people how do you live a healthy weight. Now, of course, most people, have the issue of being overweight. They want to lose weight. Many people also have eating disorders, so they have expertise in every area of weight problems, self-esteem issues, the things and the habits that keep us, doing harmful things to our body, whether it's overeating, undereating, whatever it is. And I love their approach to creating a healthy weight and a healthy lifestyle, because it's all about your habits. And I love how they both shared today in the show, how important your habits are for your health, because it's not about, some 7-day cleanse or some, super crazy Atkins, South Beach, 4-day diet where you lose all this weight overnight or, get the perfect body overnight. That's just not how it happens. If you're overweight, it probably took years to get that way. If you're underweight, it probably took years to get that way too. Whatever is going on with your body, whatever diseases you might have or symptoms you might have, it probably took years to develop. And it doesn't have to take years to turn it around, but it is going to take some time. It's not going to happen overnight. And it's going to happen when you change your habits and start living a healthier lifestyle on a daily basis. So I think you're going to love the show today and take great notes. Make sure you got your pen and notebook out. I think you're going to love it. All right, enjoy. Well, Donna and Tora, thanks so much for being with us today on the Authentic Health Coaching Show. Tell us about your background and what got you interested in healthy living in the first place.
We have actually very different backgrounds. We've come from either end of the weight spectrum. So I actually had an eating disorder a number of years ago. I had anorexia nervosa. So I used to be 20 kilograms or 45 pounds lighter than I am today. So I was really as far away from good health as you could imagine. And I got to the point when I had to make a decision about whether to I had to decide to take charge of my life back. And one of the ways I did that was to I got really passionate about health and almost flipped. So I went from really not being at all healthy to really embracing being healthy. And so I did that first of all through fitness. I started running and I became a very good runner, and I got into triathlons as well. Went on to become national level triathlete for a number of years. But I was still putting too much emphasis on fitness rather than health. So then as I got towards my 30s, I realised I needed both. So that's when I became more passionate about looking at a healthy lifestyle as well as a fit lifestyle, because I believe you don't necessarily, just because you're fit doesn't necessarily mean you're healthy.
Absolutely.
So I've been looking at how to bring it all together so that I can have a healthy lifestyle as well as a fit lifestyle and a happy lifestyle as well.
Awesome.
She's definitely the bona fide health nut,
Yeah.
I must say. Not me though. In fact, I'm called the behavioural change nut in our business here. Because my background, as Tora said, I started at the other end of the spectrum. So I was 30 kilograms or nearly 70 pounds heavier than I am today. And I carried yo-yo dieted for something like over 7 years. That real struggle about trying to lose weight, exercising and finding the right foods and just to fail dismally constantly. And over that 7-year period, it really it chips away at your self-esteem and everything. And the interesting thing though is that when I finally got to that place, I've had enough. I couldn't diet, couldn't do it anymore. I think every part of me realised I just couldn't do this I was just going to have to give up being a big fat girl forever. It was really where I got to. And the interesting thing about that was that actually my turning point, because in that turning point, what happened is in the letting go of being dieting and the right exercise, is what actually happened was I started to form lots of little habits, little high lifestyle habits that actually started to become healthy habits, slowly but surely. Little things like I started, instead of driving a car, instead of buying a car, I used to cycle everywhere. I started working in a Japanese restaurant, so they fed me twice a day instead of my one feeding fest at the end of every day. And those little things started to help me change. My weight basically started to fall off me almost without me noticing at first, until I went shopping and discovered that I needed a smaller size, which was an absolute delight. That actually led me personally into my career training and development, because I got so excited. I realized that this whole, losing weight, that was my main focus for many years, it wasn't the diet and the exercise, it was actually the whole sort of habits and behavior change. And that got me into my career of studying motivation and how people change their behaviors, which was really exciting, because then I spent the last 20 years teaching other people how to motivate themselves and how to change their behaviors. So that's how I got the health nut, not so the health nut, the behavioural change nut aspect of business.
Awesome.
Backgrounds of both of our stories, and that's before we even got together and discovered we had this sort of fact in story. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, let's talk more about habits, though, because I think that's so important. A lot of times people focus on, if they want to lose weight, for instance, they'll say, I've got to go get this new diet book, or, I've got to try this new cleanse, or this and that, right? And they want like a 7-day or a 10-day program that's going to change everything for them, but you don't build habits that fast, and oftentimes, like you said, with the yo-yo dieting, you just gain the weight back. So how do you create a habit that really sticks in the first place? What's the difference between starting a diet and quitting, and starting a diet and actually staying with it?
Yeah, lovely idea.
Well, we actually like to think about creating some sort of pivotal, what we call hot healthy habits.
Yeah.
So, and they're actually down to things which sound quite basic, but in fact we know most people really struggle with them. So, for example, one of the first ones is eat regular meals. One of the most common denominators for people who successfully lose weight is that they eat breakfast every morning. And most people will say, well, yeah, I should eat breakfast. But in fact, people either eat the wrong type of breakfast, or they eat breakfast too late, or they skip breakfast, they just skip it completely. So how we sort of talk about creating a habit is, first of all, saying, well, what's the habit you want, and what's the benefit of that habit? Because you need to be thinking about, well, what's the point of what, to be clear on what the benefit of the habit is. And so one of the things I say is, for example, eating regularly is what keeps your blood sugar levels stable. It actually makes your brain trust you more, and your body and your mind trust you more, because you're going to be fed in a few hours. So you don't think, well, I'll overeat now and then I won't eat later, and all that kind of setup. And then another thing is, what we say about creating a habit is to what we call preload the decision. So what you think about is, how do I make this habit be attached to something else I'm already doing, to make it easier to remember and also to implement.
So we actually call it, the process. It's a sneaky little process. We love it. It's almost like the secret sauce to making your habits stick. Because one of the things about creating a habit, it takes at least 21 days to create a habit, but it's really long, it takes 42 days. So you need to be doing it consistently for that period. So breakfast, like I never ate breakfast, and that's why, funnily enough, that's why I gained so much weight, because I never started my metabolism or my digestion. But implementing that eating breakfast and forcing myself for the first period of time, for the first sort of 6 weeks, I had to force myself to do it. But what we call preload the decision. So I have a cup of tea every morning. It's a habit. It's a religious habit. I have a cup of tea. And so what I did was I just linked eating breakfast with my cup of tea. So I make myself tea and then I make myself breakfast. And those habits sort of join together, because I was already drinking the tea anyway. So you link those two habits together, and so then you consistently do that for 21 days is your first marker, and then 42 days is your second marker. And by that 2-day mark, you're flying through it then. Yeah, and then you start to feel a bit of it as well. Yeah.
And a final point just about creating a habit, which I think this is the bit most people miss out, is acknowledging yourself for creating a habit. So the best way to do this is to write it down. So if let's say you're going to try and exercise 3 times a week, or eat breakfast every day, you pick a little checklist, or you just tick a little box, or you write a diary, but you acknowledge that you're embedding that habit, because then you're giving yourself a little pat on the back, and that gets that habit in. Because often we just forget, especially if you're trying to lose weight, beating ourselves up all the time, rather than saying, hey, God, didn't I do well? Yeah. And that helps again to create that habit and sort of integrate it.
Mm-hmm. So if you don't reinforce the habit continuously by acknowledging it, we become demotivated. Now, we don't notice this on a conscious level, but on a subconscious level, we're actually negating that we've actually made that effort. Like, I think one of the biggest problems with any sort of weight loss or getting onto a healthy plan is that people don't acknowledge the little things. Because it's all of those little things, those little habits that make the difference. And that's when we were comparing our own fat and thin story, we noticed it was, for us to be able to weight, our confident weight, we both did lots of the same little things, those little habits. And acknowledging yourself for doing that is one of the key components of being able to stay motivated to get through to that 42 days.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I totally agree. It's about the little things. You know, a lot of times people think, you know, well, you know, I'll just do this one thing, or they'll make an excuse like, you know, oh, well, you know, one apple a day, that's not going to make a difference in my health, right? Like, you know, if I walk around the block, that's not going to make a difference in my health. But it's the act of creating that habit that makes all the difference in the world, because, you know, replacing a Pop-Tart for an apple can make a huge difference in your weight over months and years, right?
Yeah, yeah. And we found that with our clients. You know, sometimes they just a couple of little tweaks, as you're saying, replace the muffin they have in their morning tea with an apple and nuts, and that might be enough that actually triggers them into starting to lose the weight that they. Yeah, so we found it incredibly successful, especially for a lot of our clients.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, you know, this whole habit talk just fascinates me because I found it so powerful. So, you know, let's talk about replacing habits like you just mentioned. You know, when someone goes to change their diet, do you recommend, like maybe they're eating a muffin for breakfast and they realize, you know, that's got a lot of sugar in it, so I'm going to change that for something else. Is that the best way to go about it, or should you just completely overhaul everything that you're doing and start fresh?
No, we believe in doing small things, because, and again, I think that's why most people fail at weight loss, because they do exactly that right. Let's just clean the slate, and I'm going to do everything right, and it's just not sustainable. I mean, normally maybe changing 3 things maximum at any one time is really all that we can deal with. So what is the crowd out technique. So what we try and think of is upgrading.
Yeah.
So, for example, if you're eating a Pop-Tart, you would crowd out the Pop-Tart with adding in an apple. And it's just a little thing, but if you're adding things in, it feels better than taking things away. So you kind of add something in first, and then the other thing, eventually you don't want it anymore, because you do feel the benefits of eating real food, fresh food. So that's, and it's small changes at a time rather than a big blanket, let's just change everything at once.
Yeah, yeah. So as Tora was saying, we agree with the upgrade diet. And, you know, so wherever you start, you know, wherever your diet is, and that's what we start with our clients, wherever your diet is have a look at what is, you know, 2 or 3 things that you would like to upgrade. And I remember the very first thing that I ever did with my diet. First one was eating breakfast, and the second one was taking out what do you call pop soda water or soda. We call it, what do we call it down under? Soft drink. We call them soft drinks. You know, and just crowding that out with coconut water, for example. Just crowding, as Tora was saying, just crowd the bad stuff out and put the good stuff in, and then you just do that slowly but surely. So over that sort of 42 days, it becomes a habit, and then you just add you upgrade another area of your diet, and you know, so because it's sort of the difference between short term doesn't last, but we're looking at it long term, because as you say, it's the habits that you create that actually form who you are at the end of the day. Absolutely. Well, you know, I love what you talked about before, is like writing down notes of when you create a habit, and really, you know, congratulating yourself, or just writing it down, affirming that, you know, I've now made a better choice, and I'm now creating a better habit. You know, but a lot of people, what they do is when they journal about the weight loss, they'll say, okay, today I weigh this much, and then they'll weigh themselves the next day, and they measure their weight. Is that, you know, does that work, or would you rather people write down habits and write down new habits?
Yeah, it's funny actually, because we've created this journal which people use. So we do live events and also an online training, and we give people this journal. And one of our clients saying to us that she actually was really annoyed at the beginning because there was no space for her to write all the bad stuff. She's like, all I focus on is all the positive things I'm doing, and there's no way for you to tell me what I'm doing wrong. But you know, she was transformed with that process. We're so used to beating ourselves up all the time. You don't need extra space in your journal for that. You know, we believe just by focusing on the positive stuff, you're going to do the other stuff naturally. So So just focus on all the things you're doing well, keep reinforcing it, and it's amazing what difference that makes.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, absolutely. But even if we focus on all the positives, sometimes a lot of times negative things come up. I mean, we have challenges. It can be painful. Maybe you're really used to eating a certain kind of food and you crave it. What do you do about cravings, or when you just feel like you have to give up, you can't stay with this new diet plan? What do you do then? How do you get through that?
Well, if that's the case, it sounds like the diet plan that you're on is what we classify as high deprivation. So we don't advocate high deprivation. We advocate the upgrade process so that it doesn't mean that you take all of the yummy food out that you love. I still eat chocolate. I mean, I love my chocolate, and I know a lot of women do as well. And that whole idea is that people go, oh, do I have to stop eating chocolate, or do I have to stop drinking alcohol? And the answer is no. I eat chocolate, Tora drinks alcohol. However, it's portion size. So what we believe in is that you need to have treats. We follow a low deprivation, the upgrade diet, that crowd out technique where it's okay to have treats, but it's a part of your overall plan. So I have 3.5 treats per week, for example. So I'll have a treat breakfast, I'll have a treat lunch, and I have a treat dinner, and one maybe a dessert or a snack or something like that. So it's throughout the week. So I can plan it to have that in my week, so I'm not living in high deprivation. Both because of anorexia and being incredible, and I was obese, both of us hate that whole deprivation thing, and it doesn't last. Both of us our backgrounds are counselling and coaching and training, and we know that to stay motivated, high deprivation is not going to work. Unless you're a little bit like that, you like deprivation and stuff, it doesn't last. So you do need to have some nice things in your diet as well. You see, we don't just eat for nutrition, we eat for satiety. We eat because it's yummy, it's enjoyable. We have emotional content with our food. So therefore it needs to be their whole life. That's why we see that health is a lifestyle, not a sentence, because you do need to have some of the yummy stuff in there. We still do. So we look forward to it in our week. Otherwise it's just too hard, and you will guarantee to fall off it, and then you'll go back to all of your old ways. But we don't want that. We want you to move forward with your new yummy habits and still allow to have some of the nice stuff as well.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Well, let's talk about, the first couple of weeks with starting a new program, whether it be diet or exercise, whatever it is. What should you look for progress in maybe, let's say, the first 2 weeks or the first month? Because a lot of people think, I want to lose like 10 or 20 pounds this month. How should you measure your progress in the short term before you really turned it into a habit?
Well, I mean, one of the things that we like to say up front is that to measure other things apart. So, we're not saying that you're not going to lose weight, because we do tend to have a long-term view rather than a quick fix. Let's just lose that weight really quickly. So you do have to be focused on long-term change. So that's, like we said before, acknowledging the behaviour changes that you do, for example. And also, I mean, a lot of people don't like, a lot of women in particular hate bathroom scales. So we even say, look, if you don't want to measure yourself on the scales, then that's okay. But we need to measure progress. So we've had people who help, for example. So in 3 weeks' time, I want to be able to put my belt down 1 notch. Or some people love to measure themselves, and women often find that measurements move more quickly than weight. Weight seems to suddenly stagnate sometimes, whereas measurements move. So you'll find, because we're all about eating real whole foods, people's digestion improves so quickly that they lose that midriff really quickly, which means their measurement might change more quickly than the number on the scales. So it's kind of like to look at other ways to measure apart from just the number on the scales, and that really helps people get motivated, because whatever happens in weight, you do tend to hit set points. That's frustrating. So by having a concept that you can measure other things as well, then it keeps that motivation going for a lot longer.
Yeah.
Right. So even though you might not be losing weight, if you're losing your dress sizes or waist size, that you're still making progress, right? Because muscle is going to weigh more than fat, so you might keep your weight the same, but you could be losing a lot of body fat at the same time.
And even something like just acknowledging that, for example, I ate some cake, but this time I only had one slice, not three. That thinking, okay, well that was great. Okay, nothing happened on the scales, but this week, well, I did that instead of what I used to do. And that, again, is really motivating for people.
Right, absolutely. It's making those small changes and congratulating yourself when you do, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, give us an idea of, what do you guys eat on a regular basis and what do you do for exercise? Because, I mean, you both look really fit. I mean, you look healthy. A lot of people would be envious of, having that kind of body type. What do you do? Are you guys health freaks? I mean, do you only eat, like, this really elite diet that no one else can do? Or what do you eat like? What do you do?
No, definitely
I mean,
not.
our base diet is definitely healthy. So we eat. So our typical week is we go and do all our shopping at. So we found a farmer's market where all the ingredients are local. Some of it's organic, but it's all seasonal. So we're real believers in eating real, fresh foods. So our baseline is eating, real food, basically, we call it whole foods. We tend to eat, we eat alternative grains, so we sort of tend to keep, we call it a treat, so if we're having regular bread, that would be what we call a treat, just because we find bloat a lot of people, including us. So we eat different grains like quinoa and amaranth and that type of thing. We eat regular meals, so as I said before, I'm an absolute consistency queen, so I always eat breakfast, lunch, probably a snack in the afternoon, and dinner, and that's what I just do day in and day out. But we also have treats as well.
Yeah.
So as Donna said,
absolutely.
Chocolate.
That's right. The thing is that what I noticed, especially with the diet now compared to when I was carrying weight, was that instead of eating a whole family block of chocolate, I have learned how to break it down into portion sizes. And something I learned from Toras is that you can have anything you want, but you just need to have it in portion size. So we actually, in our program, we actually call it Tora size. Because Tora can have what she likes, but she just has it in Tora size. So in little pieces. So that's one of the tips that I've learned over the years of working with Tora is that instead of eating the whole block, you just eat the Tora. And that means I can have it every day. It just means I don't have the whole lot. And then that means I also don't feel guilty about it as well. But as Tora said, we've got no special diet. I grew up on a farm, and we basically still eat like that. We eat natural foods, and in fact, we stole something from Gillian Michael. She said, does it have a mother or does it come from the ground? And that's what we mean, whole foods, So we eat breakfast, lunch, dinner, and one snack per day. And we're consistent. Consistency is everything. And even though, we're in our 40s now, and so that exercise, so the food makes a big difference. And then the exercise, we're just consistent as well. One of the things we find, especially with a lot of our clients, is not so much that they either exercise or they exercise. So you've got to have that fine balance. Doing some exercise, but not overdoing it as well, because that just makes you hungry and have cravings, as you were saying earlier. And how you deal with cravings is you drink minimum 2 litres or over half a gallon a day. And that would be the difference too, is that the water consistently every day as well.
Awesome. Well, you guys have shared some amazing tips with us. Tell us where people can find out more information about you and the work that you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, we have a website which is donnaandtora.com, and we write regular blog posts every week. We also do a lot of videos, and if people sign up on our site, then we give away a book called 10 Barriers to Weight Loss Success. So these are the 10 most common barriers that we find people have, and then the first steps in how to overcome them as well. So donnaandtora.com is where we have all our information about what we do.
And in fact, right, we've been talking a lot about our hot things, and we realised because we're coming up to that time of the year, but on New Year's resolutions, is that we're actually doing a training series together about how to create hot healthy habits and what those 7 essential hot healthy habits are. So if you come and sign up on the donnaandtora.com, you'll be in the running to actually hear about our hot healthy habits training program that's coming up very shortly as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Donna and Tora, so much for sharing with us. I know it's going to help thousands of people improve their health and have a healthier lifestyle and healthier body. So thank you so much.
Thank you. It's been delightful being here. Thanks so much.
Hey there, it's Tom Corson-Knowles again. I hope you loved the show today with Donna and Tora. I hope you got some great notes and some great information. And I hope you're going to go apply this information today to your life. I hope you'll take this information and use it and change your life forever, because really today can be the turning point for you. Any day can be the turning point for you. You know, when you decide that you've got some bad habits you want to change, if you've got some old ways of eating or, living your lifestyle, or maybe you're out of shape, you haven't been doing the kind of workouts or fitness routines or running or jogging or whatever it is you love to do, you haven't been doing what you want to do for your body to take care of yourself. So if that's where you are right now, if that's what you feel right now, then I urge you to take this information and put it in action today. You know, write down one thing in your notes right now that you can do to start changing your life, changing your health, changing your body, because you are in control. You're the only one in complete control of your body, of your health, of your lifestyle, of your actions every single day. So I hope you would just go out there and make it happen, all right? We would love to hear your success stories. You know, if you've watched this show and it's inspired you to lose weight or gain weight or whatever it is you wanted to do with your body to live a healthier lifestyle, we would love to hear your comments. So please post them below this video and have an incredible day. We'll see you next week with a very special guest. All right, take care.